I just want to go back a little bit into you saying I was there. And I know that a lot of people see you right now. If you do a search on your name, you see all of the glitter. You see how accomplished you are and how beautiful you are and how brave you are and how there are all these things that you're doing. And you have your own beautiful fashion line. And you create your own jewelry and you have your own foundation and you teach your classes and you teach hula and you are a martial artist. And of course, it's easy for you because you're so accomplished. What do you say to those people?
Oh gosh.
I mean, you're just making it up. It's all easy for you. You're just saying that it's hard. You never had a difficult moment in your life. I mean, you
Oh
all did,
gosh.
but I'm sure the difficult moments in your life were just very small. I'm just gonna play it
Yeah,
down.
no. Yeah. Well, don't believe everything you see on the internet, is like you probably tell people. Um, okay, how do I answer that one? That's actually everything. People keep asking me that question recently, which is very funny. I laugh because I do answer that question, like, don't believe everything you see on the internet.
Mm.
I'm multifaceted. Truly, the internet is very interesting. Yes, what you see on the internet is a facet of me, but it is not all of me. Everything you do see on the internet is true, but to an extent, it's out of a lot of context. I have many struggles. I have been through the dirt and back. There are many things that people do not know. There are many things that my family does not know. If I told you that I have been kidnapped twice, if I told you that I have been raped multiple times, that I can speak of now, I could not have spoken of. If I told you that when the P. Diddy story came out and they spoke of those women who were put in those positions, could I have told you that maybe perhaps I was one of those women? If I told you of the stories that even one of my children maybe could have come from a story that was from the Me Too stories, could I have told you that my family doesn't know about a lot of the religious stories around appropriation? Could I have told you the stories where churches have put me in rooms and have called me the devil for the work that I have done culturally? Could I have told you the stories where I have been condemned by multiple churches? I think there was 10 or 12 different churches put me in a room. Yeah. And literally told me to stop teaching old hula chants and old hula styles because I was conjuring up the devil.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and put me through depression. Could I tell you the stories where even here on this island where I have been compromised, abused, and molested by organization on this island that I reported to did nothing to help me. I could tell you all these stories, but those are the reasons why I push through them. And instead of going the route of perhaps using those things to go into addiction and maybe even going into the either or route of hurting myself. I mean, I was a person that almost committed suicide multiple times, but now I walk people off of suicide. I was the person that did self harm. I have scars on my body. I used to cut myself as a child and learned from those lessons and now help people who cut themselves as well. Uh, yeah, I've gone through many things and learned from those lessons. And today I choose to help others. And I have gone through a lot of very hard times and made the choice to stand in front and have the courage to help and be a voice where others couldn't be those voices. And it took a lot. And it really took having been put through those hard moments to be able to do that. And that's why I say don't give up, because I kind of believe that I had to go through those things to be able to do what I do today.
Mm.
And it sounds really messed up, but that's the only way I can look at my past to see who I am today. Because if I looked at my past as a means to something negative or something that for me, I'm not going to get through life. So that was my training ground to be the great person I am today. Those things needed to happen so that I can help people today. Otherwise, I will have to look at the past as I am not worthy, I'm not good enough, and who am I today? I can't get through anything today. I'm not worthy of anything today. But if I change the way those things happen to me, then I can say, today, I can help you because I know what it felt like. I know what I went through. I know how I got through those things. We're going to get through this together. So if I could get through that, you can get through that too. And I'm a single mom. I had 4 kids, no child support. I don't have a credit card. I didn't get loans. I got through here. I got through all of that on my own. And you're going to get through that too. There is no excuse in the book. And we're going to get through that together because I'm not going to leave your side. No excuses. And that's the beauty of pain, that from pain blossoms something phenomenal. And I know that that can happen. And I am probably the best example of that. And that's why what you see on the internet looks like glitter and glam is because somebody's got to market that for somebody else. I don't market that for me. A lot of the things that I do for people is for free. And people ask, how come you don't charge? And it's because that pain, that scar that I had, yeah, I didn't ask for it. But the beauty that came from that didn't cost me anything other than my will to live and want to be here. And it's something bigger than me that gave me that. And it's worth giving that to somebody else. And I won't charge for that. And I do one-on-ones. You can sign up on my website for a one-on-one. And I do that for free. And I do believe that a lot of the things I get today, they're blessings. And I don't know how they come. I don't know why they come, but they come. And if I could hand that forward, I do. Because we all deserve it. We didn't deserve what we got, but we deserve to stand. And we deserve to move forward. And we deserve love. And we deserve aloha. And we deserve another chance to grow. And we deserve to give more to others. I deeply, 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 authentically, and genuinely.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. That was really profound. There are 2 things. You said that it may sound messed up, but you feel that you had to go through that pain in order to get where you are today. I know I keep saying it, where do you start? But a lot of people are going through pain right now and it feels unbearable. And what would be the first thing that you would recommend to do? And the second, the opposite part of the question, there are people who are not going through pain. There are a lot of people who are very comfortable in their surroundings, people who are affluent, people who go through the motions. I work with women, and some women that I work with, I see they just in the la land, that they think they know who they are, but I know deep inside they're going to be very, very unhappy in just a few years because it's all stuff. So there's no pain per se. Do you feel they need to go through some sort of pain, or do you think there is a different way? So they're 2 big questions.
I mean, two very important questions. Both have sort of the same answer, right? Awareness is key. Consciousness is key for both. The one who is going through pain is conscious, is aware. Both of them have the same answer. They're both limited. Their conscious and awareness is limited, right? The one who is going through pain, and the reason why I say their awareness is conscious, there's limited, is because although they know that their pain is there and they're aware of it, they're not open to the fact that they're worthy, right? They're not conscious to the fact that they're worthy yet. So their contrast is the other person who is not aware that they have something right? That they need to be aware of. If there was a scale, those two people sit on the same line on the opposite side of that scale.
Mm.
Both are dangerous in its own sense, right? In its own sense of the word. They're both suffering. One obviously suffering a lot more than the other. We can say that, right? The person who is suffering in that sense, in the worst way, cannot move on that scale towards healing because they're not aware of their worth. They're not conscious of their worth yet. So, how do we get them conscious and aware of that worth, right? We need to fill them with more of this person. And I don't know if this is a visual, but we need to fill them with more of that one person who is in that space where they don't feel like they have any problems. We need to get them in that space to influence or inspire them, right? Of their worth. We need to get those people who feel like, oh, I don't have any problems, right? I'm good. We need to get them in their space to inspire them to hold their space for those folks who are suffering, to remind those people that they mean something in this world, but not in a way of pity, but to inspire them, to bring them forward, to remind them that they are worthy. But in the opposite contrast of those who feel like, oh, I'm good, there's nothing wrong with me, right? There might be some suppressed stuff. There might be things that they're unaware of as well. They're unaware because there might be some things that are buried there. They don't know. We understand that there is always going to be the seen, the unseen. There's always going to be light and dark. There's always going to be yin and yang, the opposites, right? So this is when you bring those two people together, right? The two opposites, what's going to happen is that's also going to awaken perhaps some of what's happening in that person who may not be conscious of what's happening inside of that. It's going to awaken that too. And little does that person who is suffering knows they are going to be the influence and perhaps the medicine that that person is going to need. And they don't realize they need each other more than not. And that's kind of how the world works. My students become my medicine as much as I am the medicine to my students, and they know it. And I remind them of that all the time. It's not me just the teacher to my students. My students teach me all the time. That's how we lead each other. It is not one above the other. It is always with each other. And that's what's the difference in our culture versus this hierarchy in the Western way of thinking. Culture leads with a we in this sense. We are together. We are not above each other. That's where when we talk about, you ask the question in the same breath because that question goes with each other. They're not separate. And so you need the one who we look at perhaps from the Western context of let's talk about what happens to the one that's suffering and the one that's probably numb and not sure what's going on with themselves and they think they're okay. The answer to both is conscious awareness. They both need them and they both need each other for either of them to function, to understand what their needs are. They need the contrast to work together and they need each other. I am not sure if I explained that well.
You did a beautiful job. You explained it very well. And it's terrible, but we're nearing the time. And I think we may have to go for part two. There's so many things I want to ask. Talk a little bit about your work. It's so multifaceted. There's so many different things that you do. I keep going back to your students and what you teach them. Can you talk a little bit about this and then the multifacetedness of what it is that you do?
Yeah, it's very multifaceted. But really quickly, because since we talked about my students, so right now I do teach a form of ho'amana. Ho'amana is, in a nutshell, self-mastery. It's a form of traditional healing here in the Hawaiian arts, Hawaiian discipline that was taught or practiced before Ho'oponopono. Before we needed Ho'oponopono, we all had self-mastery. Ho'oponopono came well after that. When ali'i came and chiefs came and there was more conquering for natural resources, the collective needed to then come together to come to a collective reasoning. And so when that needed to happen, that's when Ho'oponopono was created. So Ho'amana came before that because we all could come into agreement without having to have the collective come to an agreement. And so self-mastery was then done before that. So that was passed down generationally through my family. And it was taught to my brother and I by my grandfather. It was only recently that I revived this practice because my grandfather taught it for a very long time. And when he passed, my brother and I didn't teach it. It wasn't until the fires that I decided that I was going to go ahead and bring it back to life. I knew that if my brother and I didn't revive it, it would die.
It was fairly recently, the fires you're referring to are the
2023.
Lahaina fires.
Yeah, 2023 was when the fires hit in August of 2023. And I felt that this was the time that I would revive his teachings. And so I started the teachings with the women in Lahaina. And from there, that's when I felt it was time to revive the teachings in perpetuity. And since then, I've expanded the teachings through all of the Hawaiian Islands into the continent. And now we have students worldwide. We have multiple levels, 1 through 5. And it's ongoing classes that you can go into. But I do have a hale or a school that if you can get through 1 through 5 and that's something that you want to continue this discipline, once you get into the hale or this school, I only have 6 students in the school. I've already gone through almost 400 students, 1 through 5. If you can make it through 1 through 5 and you decide to actually take it upon yourself to perpetuate this discipline, then you adopt a lineage. And that's my grandfather's lineage. Only 6 people have made it through there because we take it very, very serious when you get into a lineage. We don't just take anyone. Because once you get through that, you've already done your homework for yourself. When you learn the lineage, that means you're ready to start taking it from a perspective of being able to teach it in the future. And that will take probably a decade plus by the time you learn it and master it. And so that's what Ho'amana is. I don't charge for that. The only payment is commitment and your discipline. And so that requires a lot from me. So that's one facet of me. I am a Kumu Hula. I also teach hula. I have Pomahina Designs, and I'm also I like to say, the executive director as well as the janitor for Ho'akamana, which is a Native Hawaiian organization here on Molokai. That is the purpose of our mission for our organization is strengthening Indigenous identity, and we focus on cultural and healing arts. And we work on crisis counseling, and we do cultural arts and restoring and protecting the Native Hawaiian arts.
That's beautiful, and that's a lot. So
Yeah.
how do you manage? How do you juggle all of that in the same space?
Honestly, I have a lot of help, and I have a lot of people who love doing what they do. And to be honest, I love what I do. So it's really easy. And I guess when you love what you do, things are easy and it's fun.
We are at time, unfortunately. But if there was one piece of advice or something you would want to share, what would it be?
I will leave you with something my grandfather had always told me from when I was a little girl. He would always tell me whenever there was something of turmoil, he would always tell me, ho'o manawa nui. And what that means in Hawaiian is patience. And it's not the patience you may think is wait. Ho'o manawa nui in Hawaiian means ho'o is to do. Now, manawa nui is in time. And it means no matter what happens in your world, no matter what turmoil, no matter how frustrated you get, no matter what happens in your life, give it time. And that time doesn't mean tomorrow. It doesn't mean a few months from now. It doesn't even mean a year or 2 from now. Just give it time, and that too shall pass. And you'll see that time is so immense and important that you'll see the benefits of Ho'omanawa. And so take a deep breath, trust in yourself, and give yourself that time.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. This was wonderful. And I think we may be going for part 2.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this, and I really appreciate this. So thank you so much.
Thank you.